Ooh, we are back, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Going Pro podcast powered by Dog Pound Athletics. Welcome back to the pod. Ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know, I just told Juan this. We are on episode 10. He told me not to count because it's going to be hard to count, but I had to. I'm Asian, So,
I'm glad you're able to count to 10, my guy.
happy Asian Heritage Month to all my
Is
Asian
it?
fellow Asians. Yeah, bruh, it's our month. It's crazy.
I don't think Americans celebrate it.
Uh,
It's Asian
yeah,
Heritage Month.
we don't. I don't think we really celebrate it either. I just found out like a couple days ago, but I'll take it. We get a month. You know what I'm saying? Oof. All right. So the topic today that I really wanted to go over is the importance of setting goals as an athlete and how to take you guys step by step of how to do that. Um, this resonated with me just because a lot of my athletes are going into off-season training, and we've been talking a lot about work ethic and how to train with intention. So now can we put a plan of action together and help and have me and Juan help all these athletes understand how to actually go through this step by step process so then you can actually put this into practice instead of us just talking and you're like, all right, we've heard it enough. Mentality, work with intention. So now we want to put it into into play here. So what comes to mind, the first thing that I think of when making a off-season goal is you have to figure out why it's important to you. Like what is the goal? Because if you don't know what you're shooting for, then you just go to practice, you just go to the weight room and you just lift. But there's no actual goal. There's no bar that's set where like, hey, I'm working hard for this goal at the top. Um, and I think that goal needs to be clear and concise and something that you really, really want. Because if it's not something you really, really want at the end of the day, then you will not work as hard as you need to work for it, in my
Do you
opinion.
think it's understanding what you really want or what you need to do?
I think it's both. I think if you understand what you want goal wise, then you'll then have a clearer picture, a better sense of direction of what you need to do. So, for example, I think a lot of players in high
I
school
see what you mean, yeah. It
will
goes hand in
always,
hand.
yeah, will always be like, if you ask 20 kids in the room who wants to play college baseball, everyone will raise
Everyone.
their hand, but not actually everyone really wants to play college baseball. They just feel like they have to do it. But
And are willing
good,
to do what you need to do.
exactly. So figure out exactly what you really want to do. Um, and that way, if you have that burning desire, passion that we have been talking about on the feel like the last five podcasts, then you get to understand what you want, and then now you can have the need to actually put that into practice. But again, I think that that goal just again makes a clear vision of the end goal of where you're trying to go. If you don't know where you're trying to go, at the end of the day, you're just doing empty work. You're just working to work, but there's no real goal to it.
Yeah, so I think
Um,
to start backwards, depending at what level you're at. So if you're high school, you're looking up at college. If you're at college, you're looking up a pro. If you're
mm,
looking at pro, you're looking at the greatest.
yes,
And then you can kind of work backwards from there. So really, it's just the biggest expression that you're currently working at. So let's take high school, for example.
mm,
So if you're trying to play college, I think you should always aim to do D1 no matter what, and then
no matter
land
what.
where you land. And depending on where you're landing, you can make adjustments as you become more self-aware of where you really sit within the genetic pool and what you're actually what's actually attainable.
Mm,
And then I think the first thing that comes to mind is first reflect on the past season that you just had. And I think I would do that in a variety of different ways because if you just do it internally, you're going to have a bias and probably going to be blind to your own deficits.
mm,
So I think reflecting, truly reflecting back, what happened, go factual, what happened? Did I play? Did I not play? Did I play enough of? did I actually stack up and deliver where I thought I was going to be, or did I not? Where did I come up short? Where were my wins? Where do I sit with the rest of the team? That's all kind of internal. Also, I think a reflection with your coach. If they're a good coach, hopefully they're able to give you direct feedback and tell you the direction where you need to head. A really good one, but it's very difficult, especially if they are your buddies, as your peers.
Mhm.
And that one's probably the hardest to distinguish. The parenting one is also hard to distinguish because if parents haven't played the game, they might be able to guide you in different ways of where they think your efforts are, whether they feel like you are only focusing on baseball or if you're developing as a human being. That might be the best gauge from your parents. And then I think still the underrated, if you have a strength coach, the feedback from your strength coach. Reflecting through all of those, then kind of deciding an actionable plan. And I think the way to start is where you can make the most amount, where you can get the most amount of return on your time because you don't have a
Mhm.
lot of time. So my mind was first going to what you're the weakest at,
Mhm.
but I don't think that's necessarily true. I think it's where you can get the most return on the amount of time that you have. So,
Mhm.
because there's so many things that you can work on, but
Yeah.
let's say skills wise, you're mid to high level, and maybe not work on the technical ability, but what if the strength is the biggest gap that you can improve on? So maybe
Mhm.
do that route.
Yeah.
Um, or it's you're very skillful, but you just have been treating it like a hobby. So maybe the mental component of, okay, this off season, my goal is to be more disciplined. Let's take that as the example. So what would I need to do in order to become more disciplined? And then you can start mapping out what that would look like. And it's waking up early every day, or I'm gonna go to the gym every day, or I'm gonna go hit. Whatever the thing is, and I think with the discipline part is committing to doing something that you don't want to do, that you have to have a conversation with yourself and you still go do. So
Mhm.
kind of choosing whatever one of those components is, and then coming up with an actionable plan. And that actionable plan, you have to have a good representation of what that is, because otherwise you're just aimless. You're like, well, I gotta do discipline, but you don't know what discipline looks like, or
Mhm.
I gotta hit, go to the batting cages, but you're just swinging at every ball. You don't know what a good rep is. You need to have a good representation of what you're aiming for, which then allows you to make micro adjustments every time the ball gets sent your way, or
Mhm.
every day that you have to practice discipline. And then the feedback loop to, did I make progress or did I not make progress, and kind of evaluate on a micro level so you can really get that return of the work that you're about to put in.
Yeah. I think kind of going back to your one of your first thoughts, which is, a lot of players, can be biased toward what they need to work on. So my advice to those kids or those athletes is like, hey, if you don't know, like you actually just don't know what you're weak at, go to your strength coach that you respect. Go to your hitting coach, your pitching coach, someone in your circle that you mad respect, that you believe that has your best interest for yourself, because they're going to tell you the hard truth, maybe that you don't want to realize, but also they know you so well that they're going to lead you to the things that, like, hey, it's A, B, and C. Those are the three things that I think, whatever, that you need to work on this off season. And then having them tell you that gives you a more clear idea of, okay, I can see where they're coming from. And then this goes back to the vulnerability part of, okay, me being vulnerable allows me to see that, okay, like I'm not great at everything. And then you and your coaches can sit down together and map out the actual steps that you need to take with some of those other parts of the discipline, like Juan said, which is a lot of kids don't want to work on things that are hard because they're not good at it. But that is the discipline that you need to have is you need to do things consistently every day, but working on the things that you're bad at, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. And
That's where I see the discipline part.
and I think what everyone needs to realize, and maybe they do deep down inside, is that coaches, for the most part, love coaching.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
when a motivated player comes to them, they're gonna give them the feedback that they need to hear.
Yeah.
You're not getting paid a gang of money to be a coach. Like
No.
most of coaches are doing it because they love the craft of leading a
The
young
development.
athlete to the
Hmm.
highest level that they can. Because for coaches, for all of us, our biggest reputation is how far we can develop our athletes.
Hmm.
Like that's our biggest win. And I think to adding on to what you said, the pitching coach, the get a wide range of feedback from the different coaches around you. That's going to help you kind of build up a plan. And then ultimately, you have to decide which route you're going to take.
Hmm. And I think it comes out of a place of love from our side as a coach, which is, we only want them to succeed. And sometimes you have to have that hard conversation with a kid of like, hey, like you're doing great, but if you want to make it to the next level, these are the things that I think you need to work on. And you might feel some type of way about that as an athlete, be like, no, like, what do you mean? Like, I'm perfect, da, 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 da. Like, how could you say that to me? Like, they might feel attacked, but knowing that I have your best interest in my heart, I only want you to win. I only want to see you succeed at your highest potential. So me telling you that those hard things actually means that I care and that I love you and I want you to do the best, not because I'm an asshole. I think that's like a big part of it.
What do you see athletes doing off season now? Just chilling? As a
Um,
generalization.
a generalization, I think, again, I think some of them go do stuff. They practice sometimes, and I think
What's
I I don't think a lot of kids actually do a lot of work. I think it's their time to go and hang out with their friends. There's no more schoolwork. You know, you get to go to the beach because we live near a beach city. You get to go on vacations, whatever it is, and then the ones that are actually putting in work still don't work on the things that they need to work on. They're only working on their strengths. So, for an example, if you're a hitter and you are terrible at hitting the outside pitch, I promise you, most of you will set the tee up middle in and just swing your ass off and try to hit the ball as hard as you can to make yourself feel good. But know that if you struggled on the away pitch, the scatter report's gonna tell you or tell the other team, I'm just gonna throw your weakness. So you can't get better at your weakness if you don't actually work on it. So there are a lot of kids that I see that will go to the field, that'll go to strength training, that'll go do their pitching coaches, and again, they show up, but they're not working with intention. They're not actually working on the things that they need to work on. And that's why we're trying to have this conversation, which is if you want to continue to level up, you have to work on the things that you're bad at. It was the most amazing part when Lucas and the pro guys got back. And I'll just speak for Lucas because me and Lucas had this conversation, which is he goes, I need to work on this. And he named a gang of things, and they were all things he was bad at. He's bad at stretching. He's bad at stability. He loves lifting heavy weights, but he's like, this is what I have to work on. They he's lucky he got tested for all those tests that they do at the pro level, and they showed him analytically, this is where you match up with all the guys in our organization. You're the 50th percentile for this. You're the 30th percentile for this. You're in the 90th percentile for this. And he went, I don't need to work on the 90th percentile. We can still work on it, but I need to attack the things that I'm in the 50 and the 30th percentile because I'm lacking in that and I need to work on that. But that is the next level. That is the mature level of an athlete as a pro, as a professional freaking athlete to be like, hey, they literally showed me what I have to work on. Let's work. Let's attack those weaknesses. instead of, hey, I'm really good at reactive power. Let's just keep doing that. Deft jumps and throws and whatever. No, no, you need to work on your stability. You need to work on your stretching. And that's the maturity of him and what we're trying to get everyone to understand as younger athletes, even in college, not just high school, but even in college, there are things that you need to work on. You have to just understand what those weaknesses are and then go attack in this offseason. That's what kind of went on a little tangent there. But that's what I
Here's a
think.
fun one if athletes don't know where to start. And this one's hard. Go through all the list of the things that you possibly need to work on.
Mm,
And when someone gives you feedback and you get defensive about it, that's the one
mm.
that you need to work on.
Yeah, 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 yeah. No, 100%.
Or
Like,
that, like, if you get called out on it, that you'd be embarrassed.
yeah, or it makes you feel some type of way about it. Like
That's
you
the
might not even
clue.
say it, but you like internally be like, this motherfucker just said that to me, and you're like, oh no, that's it right there.
Yeah, because if
Um,
you nice at something, you're not going to be defensive of it. You know you got
no,
it.
you're like, oh, like yeah, I throw hella hard, but like, but how was your mobility? Well, I mean, right there, I got you right there.
Kyle
Um,
likes that one. Kyle's
I
next
like that
level
one.
now.
I like that one.
My
You
man is
you
woke.
you slowly ask questions and you give them, you leave the breadcrumbs there, and they'll at some point give you a tell to
Shove
be
him in
like,
the water.
you're like, there you go, that's it right there. So the first step is asking a respectable coach and or yeah, a respectable coach, not just a strength coach, but anyone in your circle that has your best interest at heart to give you your things, the game plan of what they think you need to work on this summer. Once you understand that, and how I think about it in my head is, and if you're lost and you, unfortunately, if you don't have coaches in your life like that, then I think going off of the MLB scale, right? If we're all trying to be pro baseball players, right? Then the five tools, I wrote them down too because I forgot the last like whatever 3, 4 podcasts ago. So, right, it's power or hitting for power, hitting for average, speed, arm strength, and defense. The scale is 20 lowest, 80 highest. I don't know why it's not 100 and why you have to start at 20. I don't understand that part. But if you can then grade yourself or have someone do it for you, like, hey, this is where you're at on all those categories, you can kind of see like, hey, well, hey, I hit for average really well. I lack power, I lack speed, the defense is good, but I lack arm strength. So you see those three things, and then like Juan said, if you can instead of attacking all those, you then think about, okay, what do all those things have in common? For me, it's just strength. I lack power, I lack speed, and I lack arm strength. That comes with weight training. So boom, all you have to do is just get into the weight room and bust your ass for the 3 or 4 months you have for the off season, plus also working on the skill development in your sport, and that's how you go about it.
Yeah,
I
you
think
got to
that's like
think
the
about
simple
it.
way.
Yeah. And the other side of that is, I think if you use Lucas as the example, what are the things that you're going to do now so that you're of the most value when you're trying to sell yourself?
Hmm.
Like if you look at the player rankings of all the little skill set when you're playing EA Sports, whatever, whatever,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like you got to bring them up to make you the most valuable.
Yeah,
You get
no, I was
most
gonna say
return
that.
on this.
Oh, alignment. No, I was gonna say that, which is like I'm a big 2K guy, but a lot of kids play MLB the show. So imagine you go MLB creator player, right? And they have the speed, the hitting, the power, all those attributes. And if there are stuff that are not there that you need to bump up to get better, that's the same thing. You're your own creator player in real life. So
Yeah,
treat
would
it
you pick
as your
you?
MO. Yeah, like as a avid video game guy that I used to be, right? It's just common sense of like, okay, if I'm actually my actual player in real life and I'm lacking some of those attributes, what are you gonna do to get those attributes up? And unfortunately, you can't just pay the MLB show to like get you more points or whatever. You actually have to put in the work. That's then the hard part of, okay, so after second step. So once you know the the things you need to work on, then there's the action plan. So then in my head, how I
Uh,
think about it is, so you write those three things down, right? Then you're like, okay, what in my day to day can I control to make myself better at those attributes? So if you lack, uh, let's just say defense, right? Because I want to stay away from strength training stuff, but we'll also talk about strength stuff. But if you lack defense, right, the defensive skill to read the hop as an infielder, to track fly balls, you would then write down two or three things that you can do a day to help you develop the skills that you need to get those defensive attributes up. Do I?
Okay, let's do this because I don't know what this is. So you're saying
Okay.
describe defense again?
So
Because I'm
defense,
gonna
so
give
like
you right off
as
the dome.
I got you. So
So
it's
you're
like
playing on the field. You're out.
you're on the field. So you're an infielder and outfielder. So infielders are like reading ground balls, the range
Okay.
that you need to cover. Outfielders is like the range that you cover in the outfield. How do you track a fly ball? All that kind of stuff.
Okay. So then there's ground balls. There's balls in the air.
Balls in the
There's
air.
reading. There's understanding where the other players on the field are. What's your
Mhm.
role inside of that field, right?
Mm.
So then
Situational awareness.
situational awareness. So then right off the bat, I would tell myself that I need to either watch games or watch video of the positional person that's in my seat.
Hmm.
So you can start looking at reps. That's one thing that you can do.
And it's an
And
easy
then,
thing.
and it's an easy
Easy thing
thing.
to
So
do.
you can set an amount. You have to set the goal. I have to spend 30 minutes watching my position from someone that
Hmm.
is better than me. And then, because
Pick a
what you're
pro.
going to
Yeah.
start to pick a pro, what you're going to start to do is mimic their movement.
Hmm.
Mimic their movement.
Mm.
Okay, so then you go
Yes.
to their movement, and then so
Yeah.
like I would start. So your warm up or whatever can look like. Let me mimic this movement. It's just like shadow boxing or jiu-jitsu or any of these things. You can start flowing through it. Get your
Mm.
brain to tell your body, this is how I move. Like shortstop, you're throwing, I don't know, first base. Boom. How does that look like? Or whatever your position is. I
What
imagine
is the
certain.
footwork? What does the arm circle look like? What is the range look? Am I throwing from different positions? Can I throw from here? Can I throw from down here? Can I throw
Mm-hmm.
on the run? All these different
So
things.
then you're like, okay, then you need someone to play the ball from either on the ground, probably ground, mid, or
Get you,
high.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then so you have someone playing the ball in those type of ways. And just like you said, you're looking to hit those checkpoints. Okay, I need to be able to hit, I need to practice. Which one of these throws do I suck at? Like,
Yeah, yeah.
right?
Do I
And then
suck at
just
throwing on the
practice it
run? Do
over and
I
over and over.
am I bad at flips? And again, like what Juan just said, practicing it over and over. I'm a huge Kobe Bryant fan, and again, I will continue to keep harping this on the podcast because I he is, in my opinion, one of the greatest players just in the history of sports and his work ethic. But you hear about those stories of, he's working out for 3 hours and he does the same move, not different moves within 3 hours of the workout, the same move for 3 hours, whatever the combo is: pump fake, jab step, cross, fade away, jump shot. Grab the ball again. Pump fake, jab step, crossover, step back. And until he gets it right and until he feels comfortable with it, then he moves on. But until you master that skill, you cannot move on. Because if you just do it for one day and you're like, oh, I got it. I got it.
Bro, what was that?
Sorry, zesty. Pause. But like you're like, I got it. I got it. No, you practicing it for 20 minutes, him practicing for 3 hours, look at the difference. He's just getting more reps, right? So again, you
And not empty
understanding,
reps though, like
and no, and not empty reps. Like it's
representative
pure
reps.
intentional focus of everything that you do. I can tell if a kid practices with an intention how he catches, how he plays catch. I see all these high school kids thinking they're freaking a pro athlete. Catch, throw, talking, catch, throw. And I'm like, so your footwork sucks in the infield. I've seen it before. Your throws are not always to his left chest. Uh, you're not working with intention. The speed of the drill is not fast enough. So when you get into the game, you wonder why you make errors all the time because you're practicing bad habits. You need to intentionally practice and make them good habits with good reps, if that makes sense.
Yes. So then you have to
So
put on the action items like you talk about. We need like 30 minutes of this one specific drill.
yeah, and then
How many
you
times a week? Boom, right?
yeah, right, all that stuff. And then once you do that, then you pick another throw that you need to work on, and then you just have this. and then you just add it on to the throws that you've already mastered. So maybe instead of, so say, let's hypothetically, so you have trouble throwing on the run. You're running and you throw. You have trouble with that for 2, 3 weeks straight. That's all you're really working on. Once you have then basically mastered that skill, don't just throw it away. Now you still implement that throw, but for a shorter amount of time. Maybe it's you just work on it for 10 minutes. Then you move on to your next skill. Hey, now I have a hard time transitioning with a double play from second to short. So now you're working on that. And then now you just continue to keep adding things to your workout plan or your routine. And then once you start to master those exercises, they just get shorter with how much time you spend on them. Because we're not saying to spend 5 hours a day working on the same throw and then you have to do the next throw. There's not enough time. But what we're saying is you have to master one thing before you move on to the other. And once you master that, the time gets shorter to then work on those things. But you're still always working on all those throws on defense, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and then there's a other compounding components to it. 'Cause I guarantee once you master one of those, you're gonna master the next one faster
Hmm.
because now you just ha taught yourself how to train, and
Hmm.
then your brain is more open to making faster adaptations. And then there's the whole psychological component and confidence that comes with knowing that
Hmm.
you've been working at a skill.
Yeah. So when you get into the game, high level situation, bases loaded, crowd stands are packed, and you've done it 10,000 times for 10,000 hours, then it's just second nature to you. It's just that easy. It's just that simple. And then you do that for every every weakness that you have, or whatever, the three that you think that you really need to work on to get those attributes up. Because it's not just defense. A lot of people lack the strength. A lot of people lack the arm strength, the speed component, the hitting, like going to hitting in baseball, right? Again, if you're not working on your weaknesses, you're not attacking those things. How do you expect to get better at that? Because at the next level, how about this? In high school, there are no scouting reports. There's not a lot of scouting reports. In college, once a team sees you once, they have all your pitches, they have all your tendencies, what counts at what pitches you throw, and then how much velocity you have, uh, all that kind of stuff. All the analytics. So now, if you don't make those adjustments as a college player, that next time you step out on the field, they're gonna know every weakness that you have and they're trying to win. So they're not going to play to your strengths. If you can't hit the away pitch, what are you going to see for all the pitches that you see? I'm going to throw it until you beat me. I will, if you have the trouble with the outside pitch, the high fastball, if you can't hit a breaker, if you can't hit a curveball, can't hit a slider, what do you think they're going to throw you? All fastballs so you can just lay into them? No. They're going to continue to keep flowing what you're weak at until you beat them. And how you beat them is you just have to work on it in the off season. So again,
I
taking
think
those, yeah. Oh yeah, go ahead, go ahead.
there's that skill component, and you could break that skill down with any of the skills with the game.
Mm,
I think the other deficit that you can close the gap on is your own like personal characteristic skills, which is
mm,
like perseverance or grit or all the other components that you might break down, whether it's your temperament, like do you get frustrated in a game? Do you get angry? There's also the team chemistry, like can you improve on how much other people respect you on the team. So there's other intangible might be a little bit more difficult for the high school athletes, but it starts to matter in the college and the pro level. 'Cause you're not just looking for a very proficient player, but someone that can fit in culturally into a team. Because
to your
that's how
system.
you could see how they're just leaders on the team and how much of a difference. Like LeBron's trash, but he can lead a team.
Get off my topic. No, but I know 100%, which I think you being able to work on yourself and working on these hard things creates the discipline and the grit that you need to have. And I promise you, this is something that I always tell the kids that are on not that great teams, which is like, hey, like the way you work, you need to be able to push your teammates the way you work. Because how about this?
Pull
If
everyone with
if
you.
you hate to lose, it's a 9-person team. This is not basketball. You cannot take over
You're
a game.
sorry
You you
ass
you can't
teammate
take
if
over
you don't
you
push
can't
everyone.
take over the game. So if you bust your ass every day working, I promise you, you will get people to follow. You don't have to lead with your mouth. You just lead with your actions. And I promise you, I guarantee it, there will be people that will follow you. And once you have people that will follow you, then there'll be more people that will follow you. And then imagine if everyone is on the same level you're at working out, that team that's how you win a championship.
Yeah, you
That's how you
can
win a
either
championship.
be a sorry ass teammate or a sorry ass person, really,
And just
by
worry about
not
yourself.
working on your weak, yeah, or not even working on your weakness, worrying about you, or you decided to play a team sport, so you
Mm.
have the responsibility on working on yourself so that you have grounds to stand on when you're expecting others to do the same thing. And you can't, if you're not helping the rest of your teammates do it, you can't really get mad at them either because you're not
No,
contributing. You're not taking ownership on the leader that you're supposed to be on the team. And then you can't really get mad at the coaches or anyone. You're not even having personal responsibility or accountability to yourself. So how do you expect your team to win?
mm, no, exactly. And I think again, if you can start to apply what we're talking about, not only will you grow yourself, but then you'll start to see the people around you start to grow with you. And
You
that's
have
the
no
most fun.
option. You can't
That is
ignore it.
that is the most fun. I have never been part of a team that when someone's working hard, everyone else is like, you just leave him alone. He's just the weirdo. We're just gonna stay in the corner or whatever. No. At some point
Would you call
where
it? You try hard? You sweat?
no, yeah, like you're like, oh yeah, you let the sweat try hard in the corner and like I'm not trying to like hype my bubble or whatever, but our high school team made the CIF championships. We didn't end up winning, but we weren't a great team. But we had great leaders. There were a couple of leaders of us that always busted our ass, and at some point, people started to get along with us. And then as a leader, you're like, okay, well, I'm busting my ass. I can now open my mouth and be like, hey, I need you to work harder. And
Whoa,
they
a
can't say
pause.
anything because they're not working harder than me. On the flip side, if you're not busting your ass, you got to keep your mouth shut because they're just going to be like, well, you don't do it, so then why would I listen to you? Um,
Yeah, you got no skin.
yeah. But I hope that this podcast helped everyone understand the importance of this off season. And again, I know baseball players, I have this any sport in general doesn't really have a true off season because it's just year round now. But again, if you don't find time to actually work on the things that you're bad at, then unfortunately you'll never develop into the player you'll actually be. And then Juan's favorite quote: "If you don't do it, all you're gonna get is regret, and you're gonna sit there, and that is it." So, thank you for listening to the podcast. Again, if you have any questions, please hit us up. We'd love to help you through this process. Again, we're always trying to develop athletes. With this being said, I just found out that you can rate podcasts, Juan. I didn't know this.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah,
Bro,
yeah,
one of my homies was like, bro, I just rated it. I was like, you can rate a podcast? So how about this?
yeah.
If you haven't, follow the podcast. We would love if you would follow the podcast so we can continue to keep spreading the message to develop athletes. If you can turn your notifications on, that hits the algorithm for us. And then if you could also leave a 5-star rating and leave a nice happy review, it only just helps us continue to keep growing our platform to be able to keep spreading the knowledge that we have that we wanted to continue to keep developing these athletes into maybe the best version of themselves.
Well, not to put Kyle on the spot, but I think he just decided to do one of those sweepstakes he used to do.
It
So,
worked, bro. It worked. Oh my God,
so
it
you
worked.
subscribe, you review it, you tell us about it. We're gonna, Kyle's gonna raffle a dog pound item.
How about this? I just came out with a new shirt. Not the shirt that I just put out. I got another one. I've been working. It's fire. So I have a new
What?
shirt coming.
Yeah, what are the
I'll do,
elements we gotta do?
I'll do the same thing, and and I'm gonna think about raising the stakes. So I'll give you a shirt. I'll give you a couple shirts, and I'll put them on the Instagram.
A
I'm gonna give you
couple.
two to three shirts. crew neck, whatever you want, in the dog pound garage,
One winner,
buddy.
one winner.
One winner, but same rules apply. I might even give y'all cash because some of the guys were like, "Well, that was bullshit. Like I didn't win. I'm not doing that again." Be like, "You want some money now? You want some money now?" I'm not saying 1,000. Whoa, I ain't saying 1,000, but I understand how to get people to do what I want, which is if I need people
Bands
to
that make
help,
her dance.
if I
I
if
heard
I
about
need
that
to get
one.
people to relax, to get people to help us out with these ratings and reviews, I might throw some cash out there. You never
Let's
know.
go.
You never know. All right. Thank you for tuning in this week. I know it's a short podcast, but hopefully you learned a lot. Please help us with
Pass
all
it on.
these things. Gang, love y'all.